Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Inclusioneer Lab, where we talk about the fusion of design, guest experience, and innovation in hospitality. Today, I'm really excited to have Dina Belon with me, CEO of Staypineapple Hotels. Dina, why don't you just kind of give us a quick overview of who you are and what you do and how you landed at Stay Pineapple?
Oh, thanks so much, Mike. I really appreciate you having me here. This is so great. I love the topic we're going to talk about. So Stay Pineapple, we're a boutique hotel owner operator brand. We have 9 hotels across the country, all kind of urban city center properties, average about 100 rooms, but our smallest is 56 and our largest is 149. So kind of gives you an idea of who we are. We're kind of quirky and different and unique, both in design and philosophy, I think. But I think you and I will talk about this a little bit. I think really the way hospitality should be is, this kind of boutique, guest-centric, human-centric business model versus the beige box. So
Mhm.
we'll talk a little bit about hyper-personalization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, for me personally, that really has been a career-long endeavor of I started in the design and development space. Design, construction, and really experience architecture was the way I, at that time, articulated what has been a career long passion around creating memories. Whether I'm talking about that in setting a stage through architecture or I'm talking about it through a service model with our team members, it kind of is all the same topic. It's really about creating opportunities for guests to have memories that they'll have for a lifetime, whether it's with their
Mhm.
family or their spouse or their friends or on a business trip. It doesn't matter. That's really our passion and our purpose as an organization and mine personally.
So, so when you're kind of building this experience, tell me about I had a conversation recently with another designer who was telling me that, you know, first they sit down and they design the the project and how it's going to work and what it's going to look like architecturally and design wise, and then he kind of turns it over, and it's almost like turning over a baby, right? Like the baby grows up, and then it's on the brand to really make sure that everything flows from there on out. Can you kind of talk about that lens of being, the designer and now being the operator, and how you like to kind of bring everything from beginning to end story wise?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great subject. I'll harken back to my days at Wyndham Hotels. One of the things that I really loved was I had a design background and I was the vice president of design there. Um, but a lot of what I did on a day-to-day basis is integrate the operational efficiency and effectiveness of what we needed from a business perspective into the design process from the beginning. I always felt like it was a better approach for us to have really an integrated design process with all of the technical people involved from the very beginning, whether it was the general contractor and how are we going to build the thing,
Mhm.
to the operations team and how are we going to run it in a very tactical way, not a philosophical way. And probably personal, I think, philosophy I've had over the years is not necessarily out of a manual either, which the brands in their business model tend to use the manual approach. Here's the
Sure.
manual. This is how we do things. My favorite example was always the IT closet had to be 144 square feet. Okay. That's very specific. And does it really need to be 144 square feet, or are we just being arbitrary?
Mhm.
So, right, is that the highest and best use for that? Maybe it does need to be 144 square feet, but let's talk to the IT team that actually is ordering the equipment and tell me, is that actually a realistic expectation?
Mhm.
So, super small little thing, but you take all of those little small things and you make the right decision versus just the decision that the manual says, and you end up with a better product and you're able to deliver better experience in the process.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I'm gonna go a little off topic because you just brought something up that was interesting to me. Tell me where accessibility comes into play with that, like with the manual, and then what actually ends up happening at the end of the day. Because that closet reminded me of like the things we talk about with ADA regulations or things of that nature. We're gonna zoom out in a second because I want to talk about hospitality in general, but it just kind of made me think of, I bet that kind of manual type discussion happens with accessibility as well.
Oh, 100%. It's a very direct correlation. Um, and a lot of design professionals, I think, take the book. They literally copy and paste the little
Mm,
diagrams out of the ADA book, right? And put it into their drawing set. Um, and it makes you compliant, right? I get it. But does it deliver the experience for the guest of all variety of abilities in a
mhm,
physical way? Um, I think a better approach is to really think about what the use of the space is. Obviously, you have to meet all the minimum requirements. That's a
sure.
given, right? And a lot of those standards, to be honest, are set because they are logically and tactically the right height. If you're transferring from a wheelchair onto something, that is, you need to be at that height to make it work properly. So I'm not saying throw out the manual,
Sure, of
use the
course.
manual as a framework, but then the design team taking a step back and going, what is the experience going to be? How can I improve it? How can I make these elements of accessibility a value and not
Mhm,
just a side thought or a requirement that we had to do? I have regularly asked for, if it's available, an ADA room that are well designed because the bathroom's bigger,
right.
the shower experience is better, right? Like, if it's designed well,
Yeah.
it's a better room than a typical room. If it's
Yep.
not designed well, it's a poor experience, right? I've also been put in an ADA room because I was late arrival and it was
Sure.
the last room they had available. And it was a horrible experience because the shower didn't slope correctly and it didn't
Yeah.
drain properly and it flooded the room and the space was poorly designed and everything was uncomfortable. There was no place to put your toiletries. I mean, there's a million issues that I have had over the years in an accessible, a legally appropriate, accessible room. Like the toiletry thing is always my favorite. Because you need a certain height sink because and a mirror because you sit in a wheelchair doesn't mean that you don't have toiletries
Absolutely.
and you have shaving cream or makeup or any other number of things that you need accessible and readily available. And because they don't
Yeah.
put it in the book and tell you that, does that mean that you can't design a bathroom that accommodates for it? Of course you can, but it does take some thought, right? You can't just copy and paste the little pre-designed uh, floor plan out of the book and put it in your document set.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of my favorite examples is a shower, right? With a shower seat where I could choose to either reach the shower handle or the soap and shampoo and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
because one is going to be behind me. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like this really wasn't well thought out at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Or you have
and
to wheel all the way into the shower to
Mm.
reach the shower handle, and then you get sprayed with cold
Exactly.
water. Like,
Exactly, or as you mentioned, the gradient issue where, I can't tell you how many bathrooms I've
I
flooded
know.
in my
Yeah.
lifetime, and it's a hazard as well in terms of,
Mhm.
my wife slipping, or now we have a young child who's 2 years old, and it's like, we gotta make sure we we mop up the floor before he runs in there, he's gonna slip and fall, so, I
Yeah.
don't want this to be all about accessibility, I wanna hear more about Staypineapple Hotels and your career and all that kind of stuff. But before I do that, I just want to remind everyone to please subscribe to this channel and comment and also like this episode because we have some really exciting news coming out in just a few weeks that everyone will want to hear. So stay tuned. I forgot to do that at the beginning, so I wanted to make sure we got that in. Sorry about that. But can you tell me about your philosophy at Stay Pineapple with human-centric design? I think hyper-personalization is a term that's thrown out all over the place right now, but what exactly does that mean?
Yeah. For us, hyper-personalization is for everybody, right? It
Mm,
is about identifying what a particular guest's needs are, whether it's, "I need a professional bicycle because I'm a avid cyclist, and we need to deliver that opportunity for a guest," or it's an able-bodied person or somebody that has neurodiversity or whatever the thing, or a family that's celebrating an event, or right, a business traveler. Each person, you can't really categorize people, and this person is a this thing and they fit in that room. That's not what really hospitality should be, in my opinion. What we should be delivering is service and amenities and the facility that is able to accommodate everybody and all their idiosyncrasies, right? Whether if it's, um, I like to get up really early in the morning and go for a run, or I like to sleep in really late. Like all of those unique characteristics that guests have, one, identifying them and the ones that are important. I always joke, my favorite statement is, "I don't really care that you like Diet Coke." I do. It's not that I don't. I mean, I'm glad to know what kind of soda, or that you like whiskey and not vodka, or all of
yeah.
those things, but they're so superficial. Like, of course I should know that. But what I really wanna know is, what are your what are the drivers of what
Mhm,
make you happy? What
mhm,
are your triggers that create memories for you that are impactful? Those kind of things, the really core of who you are. That's going to help me way more provide crazy exceptional service than knowing that you like a Diet Coke, right? Leaving a six-pack of soda in your refrigerator, it's nice. I mean, sure. Or, having the cocktail that you like at the bar when you show up. Yeah, it's cute. It's a cute little gesture, but who are you really? What is on the inside? That's what that human to human interaction, the deeper relationship that we can build, that is what impacts people. That is what it's so amazing to me. We have less than 1,000 rooms in our portfolio.
mm,
And the amount of times I get on an airplane with a Staypineapple gear on and somebody says, "Oh my God, do you work at Staypineapple?" And I'm, yes. First of all, I'm always like, uh-oh, am I going to be in trouble? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But 99% of the time, it is a guest has an incredible memory that they want to tell me about, an incredible experience that they want to give me the story of. Um, and the interesting thing that always pops in my head when I hear those stories is, when was the last time you stayed at a beige box that you
Mhm.
had an experience like that?
Mhm.
Like, never.
Mhm.
How many hotels have you stayed at in your lifetime that there's no memory of?
Mhm.
None. Like, it's all just gone. And then how many experience have you had in a hospitality environment, whether it's a restaurant or a hotel, that just stick? It's 25 years ago and it's still stuck in your head.
Mhm.
Those are the impacts. Those are the things that I get excited about. And I'm like, I want to invade your brain, right? I want you to remember us for decades to come. And not
Mhm.
be, and sure, I want you to come back, and that all supports that method. But
Sure.
our purpose as an organization is to impact people on a deep level and
Mhm.
feel that human connection and feel the fact that we truly care about you.
Mhm. Yeah, one of the things I talk to my clients about so often is the difference between moments of exception and exceptional moments, right? So
Oh.
when you're working with the accessibility or the disabled community, everyone sees those as moments of exception. They're really not, because the population is increasing. Everyone is needing something. But how can we flip that from a moment of exception to exceptional moments? Because that's really what it's all about, and that's why boutique and independent hotels are such a big thing these days. Um,
Mhm.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about your favorite story that you heard from one of your guests that really exemplifies what we just talked about. Because it sounds like it happens all the time. But what's your favorite story that you like to tell?
Yeah, there are so many. We call it surprise and delight in our organization. Some people say wow moments,
Hmm.
whatever you want to call them. And it comes from the real fact that we encourage our team members to be their authentic self, their
Hmm.
whole self, and they are fully empowered to surprise and delight guests in any way they want. There's not even a budget line on our P&L for surprise and delight. And it's super purposeful because we don't ever want somebody to say, "Oh, we don't have budget left this month for that."
Right.
We want those surprise and delight moments to happen because they were creative. The individual team member at the hotel found a creative way to do something amazing. So I'll give you an example. We have a team member in our San Francisco property that had a guest come in. They were of the same ethnicity. They were both Filipino.
Hmm.
And she came in and was telling her about how she stayed an extra night on this trip so that she could go to the specific Filipino restaurant in San Francisco that she absolutely loves. Not just that she loves the restaurant or the food there, but that food specifically reminds her of her mom's cooking and a
Wow.
specific dish at that restaurant. Like, makes her feel like she's home again. And that's what that is, right? That's that really core, reaches all the way deep inside you when you talk about home.
Hmm.
Um, so she goes upstairs, gets dressed, and goes out for the evening. Comes back absolutely despondent. The restaurant is closed for a special event that night, and she didn't know. And she is just devastated. Our team member went home that evening and made the dish for her
Oh my goodness.
brought it back the next day, and served it to her at lunch before she left for her flight, and didn't just give it to her in a bag. She set up a candlelit presentation at one of our tables in our little restaurant area just for her and set out the meal like it was a family dining experience. And
Wow.
like it touched that guest so deeply that not only did that team member care that much to go so far above and beyond what any normal person would do. And
Mhm.
and in fact, I'm sure anybody that works at a branded hotel right now is cringing because there's all kinds of risk factors associated with the story I just told, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, blah 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 blah. I can hear the lawyers worrying. Um
Mhm.
but that matters so much more to us that that guest will never forget that team member and the connection that they had and the experience that she had at Stay Pineapple.
Mhm.
That's what everything we do is about. And, we don't nail it at that level every day, all day long with every guest, but that's our goal is to
Right.
like really meet people and provide them something that is so very personal to them that they can't help but come back and see us because we absolutely get so excited about return guests. We have a lot of guests that come back and stay with us a lot. And many of them like on a regular schedule, whether it's an event. Like we have another story that I absolutely love that's a grandmother and a mother and a daughter that come to the Nutcracker every year in Seattle. Every year they do it. And last year our team went all out and decorated their room in Nutcracker theme, like over the top crazy. The daughter or granddaughter, the youngest one, is 10 years old. She's been coming with her mom and grandma for 5 years. So this was the mother and the grandmother's
Mhm.
um thing they did, and then they started incorporating the granddaughter. The granddaughter was just absolutely over the moon. That young lady is going to have this memory for the rest of her life. Grandma, right? When grandma's old and they're sitting and telling stories, grandma, remember when we went to the Maxwell and they decorated
100%.
our room for the Nutcracker? That was so special. That created such an amazing experience for us as a family.
Mhm.
Those are the kind of things that just make our job so joyful. It's
I
joyful.
absolutely. I gotta tell you, I'm getting goosebumps hearing these stories, and that is why, I love hospitality. That's why when I set out to do what I'm doing, this wasn't an accessibility thing. I want to deliver that kind of, um, experience for my clients as well because we
Mhm.
all need this, and, man, that's how you build true loyalty, right? Like
Mhm.
the beige box hotels, like you call them, which I love, by the way. You know, their loyalty is baked into, well, we have X amount of members, 3 million members on our loyalty program. That's not loyalty. You're staying there because at one point you want to use your points to book the Grand Cayman experience at
Yep.
blank hotel, right? But along the way, how many unmemorable experiences are you gonna have so you can have one memorable experience? It's unreal to me. Um, at the Inclusioneer Lab, we talk about design, guest experience, and systems because those are all kind of interconnected. Can you talk
Mhm.
to me just briefly about how human centric design or human centric um, systems can be used in those three categories? And
Yeah.
can it be done?
Yes, it can. So, I'll take a couple steps back, to culture
Like,
first. Stay Pineapple in our example, Staypineapple always had this human-centric, personalized service business model from the very beginning. Prior to, the early 2020s, we were doing it the old-fashioned way. We listened, right? We talk to people, we talk to guests, whether it's at the front desk, at the bar, overheard them saying something in the lobby, a housekeeper overheard them say something walking down the hallway, whatever it might be. We always used to joke that we listen, we don't eavesdrop, but right, we were always trying to mine for valuable information that would help us surprise and delight guests.
Mhm.
But it's a very um, cumbersome and intensive process. And it also isn't really sustainable because we find out that information one time and we surprise and delight a guest, but then the information is lost and it's not carried
Absolutely.
on. It's only in that one team member's mind, right? So how do we extract the data and the information that are in all of our team members' heads
Mhm.
into a centralized place so that everybody has access to all the same information? That was really our goal. And in 2024, we completely rebuilt our tech stack. And it was a challenging, difficult, and painful process.
Right.
But it has really paid dividends. So now we have built on top of our culture. This is also one of the points I really love to make is you can't build the technology and expect the technology to create the culture.
Mm.
It's not going to work. You have to have the culture. You have to have the team that is self-motivated and creative enough to identify opportunities and come up with great things that they can do, whatever it is, whatever the experience is for the guest. Sending a bottle of wine up to their room because you heard they have an anniversary. Again, that's like knowing you like Diet Coke.
Mhm.
Great, nice, but not wow, right? Um, what you really need is a team that is super creative and here's a piece of information and finds a really unique, cool, personalized
Mhm.
way to deliver something special around that information.
Mhm.
So now instead of having to just listen, which we still do, um, we have a daily report that comes in from our internal AI that provides what I say is the pertinent information about a guest, because we have a lot of information. What we
Sure.
need is the really pertinent, valuable information kind of floated up to the top, because the team doesn't want to read through miles of notes, right? The pertinent information at the right time in front of the right team member. So they get a report that says what you're interested in, what your needs are, um, whatever. And it's not, I put in my notes, I need a accessible room. Like that's obvious. But
Sure.
what are the things beyond that? What are the things that are going to help you throughout the day? Can we help coordinate transportation? Can we, there's any number of things that we can do as a full service curated experience
Mhm.
business model. We're not
Mhm.
selling hotel rooms with showers. We're selling a curated, personalized experience. Um, so what is all that information? And we actually send it 5 days, the next 5 days worth. Because often many of these things, and this is also under anticipated, many of the things that the team is going to need to do, they need time to accomplish it. They may need to go buy something. They may
Right.
need to add something to a room, take something out of a room. They may need engineering's help. They may need housekeeping's help. So it takes time. So you can't, that's why somebody showed up at the front desk and said something to me and now I have to go action it. It's too late at that point. Like sometimes we can make it work well, but more often than not, that's a half-hearted event, right?
Mhm,
That you get the bottle of wine at that point. But if I know that you have an anniversary, you and your wife have an anniversary 5 days in advance, now I could put my creative thinking together and work with my colleagues, and we can come up with something really fun and cool just for you that is aligned to the things that you guys are passionate about,
mhm,
not necessarily what we're passionate about.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and I love the fact that you include every department too. So you mentioned,
Mhm.
like housekeeping could hear something or the front desk staff, but then they might need maintenance to be involved or,
Mhm.
the chef in the restaurant to prepare a special dish, not at
Yeah.
home maybe, but you know,
Yeah.
um, stuff like that. I love the fact that you I hate the word empower because I feel like it's overused, but you
It
empower
is.
people, your staff members to go above and beyond, and also that's gotta boost team morale as well. If you know that somebody from another department's gonna come and say, "Hey, Gina, can you help me,
Do
delight
this
this
fun
guest?"
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
can we do this
Yeah.
together? That's gotta
Yeah.
be awesome for kinda inner team, like team building stuff,
It
that
is. I mean, think about yourself, what you just
Mhm.
said about why you like hospitality. Why
Yeah,
do people go into the hospitality industry?
right.
It's not because they want to check people in.
Mhm,
It's not because they want to sit and look at a computer and a keyboard.
mhm.
It's because they're people,
Right.
right? They want to do these things, and we as organizations crush their desire to live. Right? They just
Mhm,
you like, so many times, you put a navy blazer on them and put a name tag on them and tell them this is how you answer a phone. You've just crushed somebody that had a spark for hospitality, and
mhm.
you've ruined it. You've told them that they can't be themselves, that they have to do it the brand way.
Right.
Like, there's no joy in that. If if our teams are not having a joyful time at work, then we have missed the mark. Because
Mm.
this should be a fun industry and a fun job. If we are not enjoying it, we have just I don't know, be an accountant. I shouldn't pick on accountants.
No, right. I
Right?
hear you.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because we hear about labor shortages and hospitality and all this kind of stuff, but that might be one of the core reasons why, because if I have a choice between working at the local sandwich shop or at the local box hotel, how far will go to the sandwich shop because, it's a brand I know, maybe I eat there already.
Mhm.
I think I'm probably more qualified than working at a hotel. A hotel might seem boring to work at. I don't wanna sit and
Mhm.
check guests in all day. But I guarantee you there are plenty of people at the sub shop, right, who love making sub sandwiches for their guests and know, Mike likes his sub that way, and his son's name is Matt, and all that kind of stuff that would excel at a brand like Stay Pineapple
Oh,
because they're
yeah.
that kind of person, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we actually it's not it's not a it's not a no if you come from one of the big brands. We
Sure.
certainly have reprogrammed people, but we recognize when we're interviewing that we have to identify people that we look for 3 things. Willingness to be authentic at work. And I say it that way because people think that is easier than it really is.
Mhm.
Um, Being willing to put yourself at risk to be yourself and put yourself out there is
100%.
scary for a lot of people. And so they put up a facade so
Mhm.
they can protect themselves. Totally understandable, just not our vibe,
Mhm.
right? We're more colored hair and ear piercings and, it just be yourself, be who you are. Like our front of house team members aren't uniformed.
Mm,
Um
mhm.
because we want them to like I don't wanna put you in a navy blazer or a black t-shirt or a, whatever. I don't need you to represent the brand, I need you to represent you, because the
Right.
guest is coming here to stay and interact with you. The
Mhm.
brand, I yes, we want them to equate you to the brand and their happiness to the brand,
Sure.
but you're not making friends with a brand. You're making
No.
friends with the bartender.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
and so we really, really feel like that's super important. So, really bringing your whole self and being willing to be authentic at work, having emotional intelligence, being able to read people, being able to understand, physical, verbal, and cues,
Mm.
and get that.
Mhm.
And then having critical thinking, being able to problem solve and be creative and think for yourself. You can come from any industry, you can come from any job. I can teach you how to chuck somebody in.
Of course.
We actually have very it's not even that hard because we have really modern technology that's very intuitive.
Mhm.
It's not difficult to learn the technical skills or how to be a bartender. Like, we can mentor you and help you learn how to do that if that's something that you're passionate about. Um, if you've got those three things.
Mhm. Yeah.
And those are the three things that most companies kill.
100%. And I know from my perspective, when check into a hotel or go to the sub shop or wherever, I don't know why I'm picking on sub shops today, just like you
Are
with the
you
cow.
hungry?
I am actually. I didn't have lunch, and it's 1 p.m. here on the East Coast, but that's okay. Um, so many people lack those three skills, and when you are somebody with a disability, those three skills are so wanted from me as the person with a disability when I talk to somebody, because 9 times out of 10 I get somebody who has a deer in the headlights look, and you can tell before I even arrive to the front desk, they're like, what is this guy going to ask me that I don't have an answer to? Or
Mhm.
he's going to be upset about something, or I can't to like him the way I want to, but that's because A, I might not have the personality, but B, I might not be equipped to actually do that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I all I know is take the credit card, take the name. You have room 138. Is that accessible? I believe it is. I hear that all the time. I
Oh my
believe
gosh,
it,
I believe it is. Oh, that would be so horrifying.
which tells me they have no clue,
Right.
right? And
It's
so
got
that
the little A on in my
exactly.
screen, so that means it's accessible. Yeah.
And a lot of times it feels to me, I could be wrong, but it feels to me like it's a hope and a prayer that it's right. Because if it's not correct and I come back down to talk to somebody, then they can pawn it off on somebody else. Or let, at that point, let me go get my manager so I don't have to deal with this. They're not
Yeah.
equipped to make the right decision or to
Yeah.
make it right for the guest, which is what I think you guys do at Stay Pineapple, which is so awesome. They could say, you know what, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. For example, let me run up the stairs with you. We'll see if it meets your needs or not. And if it doesn't, we'll make it right.
Yeah.
That's huge. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? We have a lot of little phrases, and they're great because they provide shortcuts for us in a language that we
Mm.
understand, so it
Mhm.
doesn't take all the explaining. So ours related to what you're talking about is we know to say yes. That doesn't mean that we say yes at everything. What it means is that we have enough knowledge to know how to get to yes.
Mm. So huge.
Yeah, so huge, right? You need the ability to have the foundation and the confidence to be able to find a way to yes.
And that's what I see so often is the confidence issue. It's that
Mhm.
moment of exception going, I don't have confidence because I haven't been trained. I haven't experienced this before. and I may or may not get in trouble if I say the wrong thing from either the
Right.
guest, because we're already, as soon as we see that, our defenses go up too as well.
Oh, sure.
In terms of, I'm not sure this is going to work out well. Or conversely, by my boss, the manager in the back, right? Who,
Mhm.
is going to be called eventually because the guest is unhappy, and then it looks bad on my report card or
Yeah.
quarterly reviews. So I completely understand, both sides of the argument. That's why I try to see it through the eyes of the staff member as well. It's normally not their fault. They're doing the best they can, but if they don't have a pathway to yes, then everybody's in trouble.
Yeah, they don't have a toolbox that
Yeah.
has been provided to them that helps them use their critical thinking and their emotional intelligence to
Mhm.
get to yes.
Yep, absolutely. We got about 5 minutes left, so I just wanna talk about the future for a while. If you could peer into your crystal ball and think about, where hospitality goes from here. I think we're still experiencing the hangover from COVID and everything that happened with that, even though that was 6 years ago now. But if you could peer into the future, into 2030 or 2032, what do you see happening?
Yeah, I think there's an incredible amount of disruption right now. And you're right, we haven't gotten over COVID yet. Um in real terms, I think many hotel owners still are carrying debt and real estate has depreciated and interest rates are high and
Mhm.
it's difficult to make the business model in the hotel business work exceptionally well. I think we're all in the hotel business used to ups and downs. It's a very cyclical business, but this has
Absolutely.
been an extended, unless you're in certain sectors, luxury segment is doing well, and so there's not really a good anymore. There's not a good single answer. It's
Mhm.
what market are you in? What sub-market are you in? What sector are you in? What part of the chain scale are you in? Like all of those are acting very differently within our own portfolio across the
Mhm.
country. We have different hotels performing at different levels. Um, so we have kind of that element that still is underlying the business, and then you have the massive disruption from AI.
Sure.
And the AI disruption is at every level. It's touching everything. It's touching everything from efficiency and staffing and operating expenses to distribution and how we interact with our guests. If our guests continue to be our guest and not somebody else's guest,
Mhm.
right? Like, and I mean that from a like, are the Booking.coms and Expedias of the world going to take over owning the guest because AI just changes the business model so much that the big boys are the only ones that can compete. Um, I hope and believe we have an opportunity for the opposite. So I hope that many independents like us will take the opportunity to use this technology disruption to take back our control and take back our guests and take back the relationship with the guest so that, you know, book direct, yes, but even if they're booking through some other channel, that it's still our guests. They're staying at our hotel. They're not staying at Expedia.com hotel. There is no such
Right.
thing, right? Um, and how can we use AI to be a disruptor to our benefit?
Uh-huh.
I think we're very focused on that. For being such a human centric and very high touch, very relationship oriented organization, we're also a very tech forward organization. And the tech is designed to remove the transaction and the toil, um, remove the barriers and the
Mhm.
challenges during the guest journey so that we can make sure that we have time and energy to build relationships. And I think we all need to look in and make sure that that's what we're achieving, because there will be many hotels by 2032 that don't have human beings in them working.
100%. And you'll be checking in at a kiosk and, the key's
You'll
gonna
have
spit out, like
yeah,
your flight ticket, right? So,
yeah,
yeah, there's such a delicate balance between technology and human interaction. It's gonna be fascinating to see how things play out over the next
yeah,
several years. But you're right, the ones that do it right are gonna be bu ahead above, their competitors, especially in the independent space. So I think you're on the right path there, Dina. You know that. I don't have to tell you that, but I applaud
but
you
it's
for all.
always good to hear affirmation, Mike.
Good, good. Well, before we wrap up, can you just tell people where to learn more about your hotels, both from a guest who wants to learn about your portfolio, maybe stay at one of your hotels, and also anyone that would like to connect with you as a fellow
Yeah.
hospitality, you know, worker person.
Yeah. Yeah. I love talking to people. So I gain so much. I'm a lifelong learner. So
Mhm.
I'm always up for hearing about what the newest thing is, or what somebody's working on, or what their idea is, or any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, is super easy to find me, Dina Belon. And then my email address is dbelon@staypineapple.com. That's BELON. And please feel free to reach out to me. And our website is www.staypineapple.com. You can't forget us. I mean, that's a unique name.
It is. It's a very unique name. Well, Dina, thank you so much for being on my podcast today. I really enjoyed our conversation, as always. Dina and I have had several conversations recently, and I've just enjoyed every single one of them. But if you're enjoying this content, enjoying what we have to say and the conversations we're having here, I'll remind you again to subscribe to the channel and also like this video so we can stay connected. But until next time, I'm Mike Clapper with the Inclusioneer Lab. Thank you very much.